So everybody, this is the Pocket Hole Jig 320 from Kreg. And let's open it and see what's inside. A nice little case, keeps everything together for you. You can see the bottom here. Comes with instructions, some sample screws to get you started. Here's some more small screws to get us started with. Here's the real big guides. This is the real trick here. It's got the depth locators on here so you can set it to the depth or the thickness of your wood and be able to butt this up against there. These are two individuals and a spacer so you can space it out. Yeah, there we go. How exactly to do that. There. So each one of these comes apart, so you could use a single one, two right together, or use the spacer in between. Here, if we wanted to use them, the two right together, I think we would do it something like this, and then you'd have the two spaced right together. Here's the spacer that goes in between them. Here's our depth finder / Allen wrench for all the tightening and attachments we need. Here's the bit itself. Looks like a 6-inch bit. It has a depth collar that you set to the depth of the material that you're going to be drilling into for your pocket holes. Here's the bit, nice long bit, goes into your screwdriver or drill, and be able to turn that. And this is a clamp accessory, so that if you're using the Kreg clamp, you could use this with this and be able to clamp it down. I don't have one of those clamps, so I won't be using this. And let's try it out on a project. Over on my assembly table jig, I lay out the parts to a side of a dog kennel side table that I'm making. Once I decide where the pocket holes should go, I get out our pocket hole jig and take it out. Well, first of all, I try to put it on there backwards, which we'll see in a minute. Then I get out the material thickness gauge and put it on the side of the board. We'll use this thickness of the board to determine how to set up the jig. We use it to set the thickness on the thickness stops of the drill guides. There are hard stops on the guide for 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, or 1.5 inches. I use the Allen wrench to set the stop collar on the drill bit at the right depth. You align the window on the stop collar with the written measurement on the bit. Now just make sure that the material thickness stops on the jig are up against the edge of the board and attach it with a clamp to a good surface. Make sure that the ejection holes are not covered up so that sawdust can be removed appropriately, and make sure this is clamped down to save your fingers and to make sure that the work doesn't move on you. Then it's just a matter of drilling all the way until the collar prevents you from going any further. Make sure that the battery is charged if you're using a cordless driver, or use a corded drill to make sure that you can get to full speed for crisp, clean pocket holes. Then you can just remove the clamp and move it to another place to drill pocket holes. Before driving screws into the pocket holes, it's important to clamp the joint. Without a clamp, your alignment is going to be hard to obtain, and it could be dangerous to the user. It's very important to use a bench clamp or a face clamp or even a right angle clamp. Here I'm using some lever clamps on my table assembly jig. Once everything is clamped into place, it's time to drive the screws into the pocket holes until they're just snug. You don't want to over tighten because that will strip the pocket holes and prevent the joint from staying together as it should. Selecting the right screw length is important, But just as important as the screw length is the screw type. Fine thread pocket screws are designed for hardwoods, and coarse threaded pocket screws are designed for softwoods like pine or plywood. You'll notice that I used a thin piece of plywood under one of the pieces of boards to create a reveal, which will add a lot of character to this project. Although I struggled with it at first, changing up the configuration of the drill guides is rather easy. You just need to push the drill guide, twist it, and then pull it apart. And then just reverse those steps to put it back together in the configuration that you want. I changed the configuration because I changed the width of the wood that I was trying to joint, and I wanted the two pocket holes to be close together. These will be like the bars on the dog kennel end table, and I wanted to be able to attach those. As you can see, I made myself a spacer with a couple of screws on it so I could move it in between each bar to keep things distanced correctly, providing that consistency that is needed whenever you're trying to work on a project like this. There are many advantages and disadvantages of pocket hole joinery, but I think this is very approachable for all woodworkers, whether you be brand new at it or experienced for years. And it is very sturdy, and it can be used in applications where other joinery might be very complex. I like it, and I look forward to this in the future. I hear my wife calling. I gotta go.